about a guy in the present called Desmond Miles going through an experiment with a machine called the Animus. And the Animus let decode the DNA of a subject and relive his ancestor memories. So in the first game, in Assassin's Creed 1, you were playing Altair, an assassin during the Third Crusade in the Middle East. In Assassin's Creed 2 is about Ezio Auditore da Firenze, and now you're an assassin during the Italian Renaissance.
Insieme per la vittoria! Insieme! Insieme! Enough of your nonsense, Grullo!
How would I review it? It's still a pretty good first try of an Assassin's Creed game. What I mean by that is that now can pull back myself a little bit and saying like, we had a lot to learn. It seems like obvious this story with an Animus and Ancestor, or Assassin against Templar, or the fact that you can do free run in an open-ended city and do all this climbing and do viewpoints and jump in a bale of hay. But it took a little while to come up with all those ideas and making it an IP. So we made some mistake while trying to figure out what was an Assassin's Creed game, and that's why maybe there were sort of some shortcomings in the first game. But I think the core of the experience was still pretty good, because otherwise we wouldn't be able to have sold like 9 million copies of it. So there must be something good in Assassin's Creed 1. But I think the main mistake we did is in the game structure. We basically exposed the game structure to players at the beginning. We made it the main story, which was you go out there, you have 9 guys to assassinate, you will do investigation mission first, and then you will assassinate the guy and come back and repeat. And that was a mistake, because we actually never changed that. And in the second one, we listened to that, or we analyzed it well, and we changed it entirely, making the story, the narrative, the game structure. So it's the story of Ezio who drives the game forward, not a game design structure.
I'll kill you for what you've done!
Yes, I can explain all the narrative structure being the main part of what drives the game forward. What we did is that we decided at first, I remember, if I go a little bit back in my memories, I arrived to the team saying, let's do the story of the life of someone. That would be the structure. It's the life of Ezio. So what we did is we came up with like, okay, we'll have him at his birth till a year, we decide, because it's not his death, it's impossible. I would have to explain a lot of the Animus rules, but it's impossible to kill a main character in our game. Whatever, so the beginning till, let's say he's 45. And with that, we'll have an historical timeline also to build upon the timeline of the main character of his story. And then we decided also to have a game design timeline with all the skills that the character would learn. And this is the game structure, but this is totally hidden by the first, which is the story of the guy, and this is what you think you follow, and the rest is totally hidden, you don't feel it. So it makes a different experience entirely than the first game. And then we let ourselves also be able to tell a good story, so we decided to go with some cinematic moment, and don't be afraid of that. We also went away with this idea of making the player laugh. First game we were a bit serious. It was all about being an assassin, and an assassin cannot, you cannot laugh when you play an assassin game. This time, no, just like some jokes here and there, and it's funny, and it's all having learned by doing the first one, and we let ourselves being less serious.
Buonasera, Viena. We were just talking about you. I'm surprised to see you here. I thought the Pazzi hired others to do their dirty work.
Italy opened up so many things for us. First, it's a fantasy place. We're here now and we can feel it but it's a place where people want to come and visit. So we knew right there that people would be attracted by Italy. Then it has a great history. Then it had great architecture. And the Italian Renaissance in particular, what's cool about that is that it is a pivotal moment in human history, or at least a Western history, which is really that goes par with what an Assassin's Creed game has to be. It's all about those pivotal moments in history. And then we said, you know what? Technically, we could do those cities, like those old back alleys. It didn't have to, change the technology entirely. We could build up those cities, try to play in them really quicker, and try to polish the free run sequences, all the climbing, put more puzzle into the tower to get to viewpoints, for example. So we felt like, oh yeah, we could actually do a game there. But what was so good for us with the Italian Renaissance is the people, is the characters that you meet there, that people know about. It's pretty rare in human history. There's a moment in time where people know the main characters that stood out in this period. And us, it's Leonardo da Vinci, it's Machiavelli, it's the Medici family, it's Michelangelo and Botticelli. So it's people like they know, and so that's why we picked Italy. That's why we decided to come here. On the other hand, it's less about a war. It's more like in the Crusade we could see the war, and it's like, wow, it is okay. It was a bit more easier to have the fights or the sword fight and what's not. So this wasn't available to us through the Italian Renaissance. But also another thing that we couldn't use is the fact but we couldn't use, we still did, the fact that the Assassins and the Templars, historically, they're gone. They were destroyed. The Assassins were totally destroyed by the Mongols in 1255, and the Templars were totally destroyed by the French king in 1307, if I remember correctly, 09. By the way, why we're so afraid of the number 13 is because of the Templars. Because they were, no, it's not number 13, it's the Friday the 13th, because Friday the 13th, they were eliminated by the King of France, and they so, all right, you go check it out. It's true what I'm saying. It's a big because of the Templars. So we couldn't make this war up front like we did in the first game. So we had to say, okay, the war will be more taking place behind backstage of history this time between the Templar and the Assassins.